You're listening to The Drew Yari Show.
That's the wine and diner with kings and queens.
You're looking at the man. You're listening to The Drew Yari Show.
Hey guys, what's going on? It is Wednesday, September the 18th, and Whoopi's in the chat. Welcome, Whoopi. And it is episode 100. 100 episodes of Yari. And I'm not alone tonight, as you can hear from that beautiful laugh. I got Mish from the Wrestling Soup. How you going? How you doing, Mish?
I'm doing pretty well, man. Had a less than busy day. Usually on Wednesday I do breakfast soup.
Maurice, can you turn off your mic? Okay, sorry about that. Anyways, go ahead, man.
Oh, no worries, dude. Yeah, usually on Wednesdays I do breakfast soup, but we are changing the schedule, myself and Don Tony, to Monday afternoons now. And then I just got done recording and a global balding with John Draper, who had 5 pages of questions. It was fucking amazing. Draper's the best. So, and I know you had him on just recently, not too long ago.
Yeah, I had him on. I had him on last November. I've been trying to get him on recently, but
I thought he was on like a month ago.
No.
Oh no, that was Kevin. My bad.
It's like
I get the brothers confused sometimes. Okay. Sometimes I don't know if I got Kevin on my show or John or God knows who. Mike, Larry, Paul, all the Scandano clan.
It's like I was about to say that. But yeah, we had Kevin on last week. We had Kevin and Julian, which that was a lot of fun.
Oh, Julian's a fucking man too.
Yeah, I was actually supposed to. I was actually going to be on his show today, but it was kind of my fault because I forgot to ask him, "Hey, what time and what day is it?" And then he said, 8 p.m. I went, "Yeah, I got to record."
It's usually on Thursdays before our show. I thought they changed their schedule. So usually before us, the Wrestling Court goes live, then we go, and then after us, it's usually the WNC.
Yeah, I guess
change it back to Wednesday. I don't know.
Yeah, because I remember it was always before, literally before your show. But
yeah. I would jump in their chat room a little bit, listen to what him and Team Heel are talking about. They usually have some good questions and rebuttals about what's going on in wrestling. It's always fun.
Yeah, speaking of WNC, they actually followed me on Twitter. That was cool.
Yeah, good guys, man. Johnny Florida, Michael Corbin, Papa Dave. Who else is on there? Old Man Jenkins. Yeah.
I actually haven't listened to their show, to be honest. I'll have to give it a listen. There's 12,000 podcasts that I need to listen to.
You're telling me.
That's
yeah,
crazy.
Man. So 100 episodes in. Now, I guess, I know it's supposed to be the other way around, but I got to ask. After doing 100 episodes, how do you feel now versus when you first started this venture?
I feel a lot more confident because, literally, when I recorded my first ever episode, I just was because you remember because I have you on my personal Facebook. I just messaged you and said, "Hey, man, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. What do I do?" And you just said, A, B, C, and D. That's literally all you gotta do. And I remember asking about platforms to use, and one of them was Spreaker, and I literally just downloaded the Spreaker app, and they have their deal where you can talk for 15 minutes for free, and I just talked for about 10 minutes, and I got pretty good feedback from everyone who listened to it. And after that, that's when I just bought all my equipment, and I just went from there. In the beginning, I felt like I was more comfortable having guests on because whenever I did solo shows, I kind of felt like a nervous wreck. Those earlier episodes, I listened back to them, I'm like, oof, I've come a long way. But
oh dear God, I can't even listen to the shit that I was doing in 2005. that's so painful. I put some of them up. I have it like on the Backstage Pass, and sometimes I'll play clips in here. But my voice is like 10 octaves higher. It's like, "Hi everybody, this is Anthony the Promise Thomas. You're listening to Revolution Radio."
Yeah, that was.
Balls were so high.
So yeah, you were in like how long have you been doing radio podcasting? What do you want to call it?
Officially about 16 years. Unofficially, I guess unofficially I've been doing it 16 years. Officially, I've probably been doing it for about 12 or 13. Yeah, I mean, I kind of went down the story before not so long ago, but I started in about 2005, on an old wrestling forums, like the old PHPVB and the V Bulletin forums, which before Facebook, back when MySpace was still king, there was a lot of actual text forums, kind of like your Reddits and stuff like that, but a little bit different. And on these forums, it was called the OWMF, which stood for the Original Wrestling Media Forums. And it was kind of a nice place back in the early 2000s. They were one of the first to stream live WWE pay-per-views, completely illegally, of course. And
I mean, is there any other way?
Right. Well, I mean, this was way before the network even existed, and this was state of the art. It was a Russian guy named Neo who ran the whole thing for the most part, and he set up all the multimedia stuff. But it was kind of cool to actually be able to watch pay-per-views back in 2002, 2003, 2004, all live, And I remember watching TNA pay-per-views on there and everything. Like, it was kind of badass for the time. And during those days, I became one of the administration, one of the mods for the site, and along with a lot of the other guys and stuff like that. It started off with making, I guess you want to say, kind of like mixtapes for the forum, which was totally weak. But it grew from there into us kind of giving a weekly analysis, and it's relatively the same as what the Minority Report was. It's the same as like the Opie and Anthony show and Howard Stern, where it was an open format. I was the host, even back then, and I would present questions to different members of the forums and stuff like that, and they were on the actual call live. And I remember how difficult it was to even do this, to not only get everybody on the same call, because we were using MSN Messenger back then, I believe. So it was even before Skype. We were using MSN Messenger, and I believe I was recording through Windows XP on old virtual cables. And there was things that you could do with Windows XP that you can't even fathom doing on Windows 10 anymore, which is kind of funny to say that, because you would think as time progresses, the technology gets better. But it didn't. Like, XP was very raw. Like, you could do a lot of stuff with XP. So we were recording it through there. I don't know if you remember Winamp and Icecast and Shoutcast and all that stuff, but we would actually broadcast through Winamp into Shoutcast, which was a server that could hold like 10 to 100 people. So back in the day, we'd have like 30 or 40 people listening live, which was insane to us. And it just the amount of technology that I had to learn and try and manipulate in order to get this done. But I did it. I mean, before the word podcast was a household word, we were doing online radio. We were doing podcasting, Revolution Radio was a horrible show. I mean, I love all those boys to death, but, we didn't know what the fuck we were doing. We just wanted to talk about wrestling. And I think that's, one of the most important things, even about doing podcasts today, is to be passionate about what you're talking about. And from there, obviously, time grew, and we went on to Blog Talk Radio for a minute, and then we were part of DTKC, because a lot of people remember my earliest appearances in their world as being the guy who would make commercials for the Minority Report. And I did like the Godzilla commercials. I did the "Oh No You Didn't" commercials, where just horrible things like Lisa singing I want to fuck you like an animal, Lisa Miss Destiny, as most people know. And Kevin's ears bleeding from it. It was amazing. But I worked with production with DT. I helped design the original site because DT had his site back then, but I was evolving in a different way, and I introduced him to Joomla. We had Joomla sites up, which Joomla is now completely just gone. Like I'm sure somebody still uses it, but I don't know who. But yeah, I helped design the new sites, and then DT kind of entrusted me over the years to make more and more intros and commercials and stuff like that. And around 2010, I had the idea of bringing back a podcast underneath the initial idea that it was supposed to be a fan cast. And it was supposed to be kind of like an after party to the Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle show, but we didn't want to have it on Monday nights right after them because it's like we would start at 1 a.m. and that would have been insane. I think the first days that we started were on Saturdays, and then we moved to like Wednesdays at one point, and then we moved to Thursdays. And Thursdays we've kind of been sitting there for at least a good 6 years now.
So like, how did you and Joey exactly meet?
Completely fucking happenstance. When Wrestling Soup first started, it's kind of interesting because there seems to be this idea floating around now too about how to do these new shows. But when Wrestling Soup first started, it was just myself and whoever my floating chair was. And my floating chair was, initially it was Andrew Carluck. Andrew Carluck was the guy that I relied on. He still does Falls Count Radio. He's been doing podcasting now for at least 12, 13 years himself. He's been around forever. And we also had on different podcast hosts like AJ Maggot, ran a variant of the Bloke Show back then. He would interview a lot of Australian talent. So a lot of wrestling talent out of Australia and fucking death metal bands. That's what AJ Maggot did, and we would have him on. I had just a complete class of different people, come on. But then one day, Joey hit me up out of the blue on the DTKC show. And he's like, oh, I'd love to come on your show sometime. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. No problem. What do you do? And then he gave me a little background into him, working with BTW Pro. And then he gave me a little background into his television career and stuff like that. Because not a lot of people remember that, Joey used to be the commentator for the TV broadcast for BTW Pro for local, And so me and him started talking from that. And we got into this conversation. It was me, him, and Andrew Carluck. And I think we were just on Skype. And we ended up talking for 8 hours, 9 hours straight. No fucking break. It was crazy. It's been a while since I had long conversations like this with anyone. Not because I don't want to have long conversations, just because people get tired or, topics change or whatever. You run out of things to say. But with Joey, it really was a weird kismet moment. I could talk to this guy for hours. I could pull things out of his brain for hours, and the guy just had so much more to give, and it was amazing. And so we started doing a show probably about 2 months in, maybe about a month and a half, 2 months in to Wrestling Soup. And he just took off. People fucking absolutely loved and adored him. And I just saw, I'm like, geez, you're the guy. And he officially became the co-host of the show. To be fair, we're both co-hosts. I never wanted to seem like, I'm the host and he's the co-host. I'm not like that. But no, he was fantastic, and he's still fantastic to this day. It's amazing.
So, I remember when I first started listening. Fucking my words. When I first started listening to Wrestling Soup, it was mainly through clips, and it was on YouTube, on Epic Sports, when before YouTube decided to just fuck everybody, and it was I think it was in I don't know, I'm trying to think of an exact year, 2015 or something, or 2014.
Okay.
And I just remember because I used to listen to DTKC first,
sure,
but I would mainly listen to the clips because I didn't really know where to find full episodes of the show. So I would listen to the clips and I would just hear Kevin talk, I'd hear DT talk, and all of a sudden I would just hear some guy with a Bostonian accent talk. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Not in like a bad way, but like Kevin would be saying something, DT would say something, and Joe would just come in and just pretty much say, "Yeah, that guy's a fucking dick. Fuck, like fuck him." And I just remember like thinking, like, who is this guy? And
we did a lot of that. I was actually really proud of that. A lot of people don't give DT his credit, but when it came to believing in someone, he genuinely believed in us to the point where he actually put our show on his feed for at least about a good 6 months there to make sure that people found out about Wrestling Soup. And then the one thing that happened, which doesn't seem to happen very much to other people in other shows, was that not only did he put us on this feed, but we would switch co-hosts sometimes. We'd have Kevin on the show, we'd have DT on the show, Joey would be on the show. There was even a few episodes in the early days where DT and Kev were like, we just want to take the night off. You guys can handle it? And me and Joey would just take over Monday night. And it was fun, and we don't do it as much as we used to. But yeah, back then it was fucking sky was the limit, man.
Because like the first ever episode was DT was on it, correct?
On our show?
Yes, sir.
No.
Really?
The very first Wrestling Soup episode was me and Andrew Carluck, and I think we might have had Horseman, maybe somebody else on the line too. And it was very short. I think it was about 45 minutes at most. And we were just covering some basic topics. If anything, the first episodes of Wrestling Soup were me just trying to get reacclimated with hosting duties, getting reacclimated with running the show and editing. And because even back then, it's really difficult to say, but it was so much harder to do a live show back then than it is today. There are so many more programs and platforms that help you have a live show, have a live podcast, to be able to talk and interact with the chat room directly now than there was that. Back then, you were jumping through hoops. So, I mean, Don Tony for a while there, and I don't think this is secret news, but his original chat that he had back in the day, he was paying $1,000 a month for it.
What?
$1,000 a month, almost $1,000. I think it was like $980 something. It was $980, but it's a fucking $1,000. He was paying $1,000 a month for his chat room back then. And the shitty thing was, yes, for a chat. I'm not even kidding you.
Jesus.
Because first off, it was a very advanced chat for the time. You had like 3D games, and you could put in YouTube videos directly embedded into the chat, and you could like give people coins, and they could buy things, and like this was pretty top of the line even for back then. But the problem was, and here comes the dirty shit, was this chat room said, "Hey, we know you have a lot of people. Depending on how many people you get per month, we will give you money for that." And it ended up being that they kind of screwed DT out of like $40,000. They owed him that much money, and they never paid a fucking cent. But the funny thing is like every single month, and we would use that chat too, but which was nice of him to even let us have that. But back then, like the pay-per-views, God, I remember the actual chat rooms could hold up to 1,000 people. And every fucking month, it was difficult just to even get in there to do the show with them, because it was just always so jam-packed. Like we would have to kick people out just to squeeze us in there on a Monday night after a pay-per-view or something, because it was just that full. And anything over 1,000, I was like, sorry, you don't get to get in. You can listen to the show, but you can't get into the chat. But yeah, that's what he was paying. He was paying about $1,000 back then.
Jesus Christ! Like I don't know. I couldn't imagine having to pay that much. I couldn't imagine having to pay $1,000 for pretty much anything. I mean, like if you're like buying a house or like something that's, it seems. I don't want to say I don't want to say like seems important, because that kind of sounds like I'm being disrespectful. But like, just
no. It's like anything else. It's like inflation, and the technology wasn't available at the time. He was paying for the Shoutcast streams. Back in the day, when you were paying for Shoutcast, he would pay for a professional server, basically a virtual server back then. I'm sorry, a dedicated server back then. he was paying around $700, $800 a month just for the server alone. And the server alone could only handle, I think, 1,000 people at max on the stream. So it wasn't even like unlimited bandwidth. Like, the more people that he had listening, the shorter time that he had. And if you remember, back in those early days, those those Minority Report shows would go 4 fucking hours easy. 4 hours easy. You would start at 10 o'clock at night, and you wouldn't leave out of there till 2 in the fucking morning. Easy.
Like, because I remember you and Joey were talking about, like, you know, you guys would sometimes even do like 6-hour shows, 8-hour shows.
Oh yeah.
Like, how are you guys able to muster that type of, like, not just like physical strength, but like, you know, mental strength to like really do shows that long?
I think we still could. You know what it is that Joey is selfless. When it comes to being able to talk about certain things, he's very selfless. And in the early days of the show, I was very selfless too. You know, I had no problem sharing all my personal stories and my personal life and everything else like that. And Joey still doesn't. Joey's still good about that. And I think that there was a lot of connection, especially in the early days, between us and the audience, because we never looked at the show as ever getting popular. I never looked at. I mean, I still look at the show and I'm like, nobody knows Wrestling Soup. And then I hear about us in the weirdest places. You know, it's still kind of odd to imagine that places like Comic-Con want to sponsor. New York Comic-Con gave us a fucking press pass. They looked at us as press, and John's going for Wrestling Soup to New York Comic-Con. And it's weird that C2E2 not only gave us a panel last year, but they invited us. They sent us a fucking invite to come back and do it again. And I just don't look at the show as being that way. And so I think even back in the early days, that mentality's kind of stuck through, that even when, you know, there were times that we got a little cocky and stuff like that, we never really pushed the whole narrative of, you know, we're the best, we're the biggest, and we're the best. I think that kind of humility, you know, being able to keep everything in focus with yourself and your audience is really important in order to grow, in order to have good shows, in order to talk for 6 hours at a time. You know, is that connection.
So it's basically, you know, I mean, kind of pointing out the obvious, you know, the people love the shows. The people are going to love the shows regardless of what you guys talk about. So it makes it easy to keep talking and keep the conversation going, keep the flow of the show going. But so, like, does it ever get to a point, like, in your opinion, where it kind of gets a little overwhelming at times? Like, do you ever get overwhelmed sometimes?
All the time. All the time. I'm overwhelmed right now. And it's well, I mean, it's the pressure gets more and more while the show grows more and more. I have more and more responsibilities. And it's funny because there'll be people like going, "Oh, you're just a podcaster." I'm like, dude, you have no idea what the fuck it is I do. Besides actually editing up my shows, which, you know, it seems to take longer and longer, but I take more and more breaks now, you know, than I used to. And I put a lot more into it that people don't recognize, which is fine. You're not supposed to recognize the editing and the production and the compression and be cleaning things up. Because if you recognize it, if you hear what I'm doing, then I'm doing a bad job. But if everything just sounds better and better and you don't know why, then I'm doing a fantastic job. That's the reality of radio production and everything else like that. If you don't know why something sounds amazing, but it does, then the person doing it is doing a fantastic job. Because you're not supposed to be able to pull apart the strands, you know? And besides that, I also do other things for the show, too. You know, I'm not the social media guy. I mean, obviously anybody can take a look at the way I run my social media. I'm very bad at that, you know. And I like to have fun here and there, but I'm just not as consistent as guys like John, guys like Joe, you know, that they constantly stay out in the limelight like that. That's just not me. I'd rather be doing work in the back. I'd rather be doing editing and finding out new programs, helping other shows, you know, and establishing things on the website and changing things up like that, and running the Patreon and running all the shows on the Patreon and et cetera, et cetera. Even right now, NBC, I think a mutual friend of mine, but through NBC sent me this big fucking contest that they're having that's got an 85 grand cash prize if you win, you know. And all they want you to do is take all these sound clips. They gave me 10 gigs worth of sound clips. They gave me a bunch of audio tracks, of music tracks with professional bands like Vast and Cell Dweller on there, which blew my mind. And thousands upon thousands of HD video clips. And they're like, here, from 30 seconds to 2 minutes and 30 seconds, make a commercial or an advertisement. Best one gets $85K. And I'm like, okay. Because even if I lose, I just got probably $1,000 worth of freebies. Even if I fucking lose, I still have a shit ton of royalty-free stuff now because of it, which this is just another thing that I'm going to do, and screw with that. So, but yeah, man.
So it's basically like a win-win for you. You win, you get paid. You lose, you still have some good shit on you.
Oh, absolutely.
Some good shit. Speaking of which, what you think of NXT tonight?
Good. It was good. It was a good debut. Nice and solid. I want Io. Can Io stop being crazy? I love Io when she was, she didn't give a fuck. Like when she first comes out to the ring and she's looking at the camera all side-eyed and stuff like that. Like she doesn't care. That's amazing. She should just come down to the ring like she doesn't give a fuck if anyone's alive or not. But then she busts into this crazy act, and I'm like, no, don't do that. You're better than that. But no, overall, the show was good. I'm kind of excited for it. I'm excited for the way that it's handling. I know next week it's going to be 2 hours. This week was half of it on USA, and the other half is on the network. But Velveteen Dream losing was, I hate to spoil it for people, but I guess that was kind of expected. So we'll see what happens from there.
Were you having problems with the network? Because me and a bunch of other people were having problems logging on.
Not with the network. I was having problems with my Xfinity stream because I can watch USA just regular on my TV, but usually the woman's out in the other room watching TV because that's what she does. So I'll watch it on my computer, and I was having just problems connecting at some points tonight, but I got most of it through. So.
Yeah, because going back to what you said about Io, doing the whole, I'm crazy, I'm gonna run to the ring and blah blah blah. I kind of understand that because I just think of Nikki Cross because I love Nikki Cross, I think she's amazing, but this whole I'm gonna run to the ring and act all nuts and it works for her, but at the same time it can be kind of hokey. Especially,
it made more sense when she was with Eric Young and all those guys. Then it made sense. Now it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, because she's acting like the crazy girl on TV, and then you see her on Instagram. Thank you to such and such modeling agency for putting me in their magazine. Blah blah blah. It's I don't know, but again, I love Nikki Cross, but I think she kind of needs to. Maybe dial it down a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, Io, I love her. I agree with you. She needs to be this fucking nutty, well not nutty, but this really dark.
Better than you. She has the look of a girl who thinks she's better than you.
Oh
and
yes.
It's focus on that instead of her being crazy foreigner chick. Because even though she doesn't do a lot of talking, she doesn't need to. She just needs to look at you like you're a piece of garbage, and that's amazing for a heel. To be able to do that and say that with your eyes is amazing, especially for a foreign heel, too. But, hopefully down the road they'll notice that, and they'll dial her back a little bit. But, less is more sometimes.
So, what'd you think of Candice LeRae winning?
Ah, boo. Boo.
Yeah, that was me. Because, again, I like Candice LeRae, but I put on Twitter, I think Io Shirai is not just the best, women's wrestler in NXT. I think she's possibly even the best woman in the whole company.
Yeah, that's right now, I don't know if I could say that, but I would definitely say that if I'm going to have a fantasy match, she's definitely in there. You know, I still have a lot of love for Charlotte. Becky is an anomaly to me, you know, because I know that Becky is worth more, but she's doing less. So I don't know. NXT UK, by far, in my opinion, has the strongest women's division. Rhea Ripley, Killer Kelly, Jazzy Gilbert, you know, even Piper Niven. These are strong fucking females that, if they ever get the call up to the main roster, will really change the game.
I have yet to even watch an episode of NXT UK.
Not bad, dude. You should. I mean, if you like the women's side of it,
I
even
do.
if you like In Memoriam, I don't know if you're a Walter guy or nothing like that, but even In Memoriam is kind of a badass little throwback too.
You mean Rey Mysterio's son?
Dominique,
Dad, you can't retire because I want to tell my children that I got to tag with Rey Mysterio. You can't, Dad.
he had a great match with Cesaro the other day. I was pretty impressed by that.
Again,
I mean, people were actually cheering for Rey. When was the last time you saw that shit?
well, I mean, I think it's... You know what the weird thing is? It's like, a lot of these guys that have come back to the company that have been out for a while, I don't know if it's because, you know, they missed a step or they're injury prone or, you know, creative or whatever. But, you know, I love Jeff Hardy. I've always been a Jeff Hardy fan. But ever since he's came back, it's just something's missing with him. You know, same thing with Rey Mysterio. You know, he's... Not that his matches have been, you know, as you would say, cacas, but it just seems like something's missing, you know, and also it doesn't help that Rey, you know, seems like he gets injured, you know, pretty often. But yeah, the match with Cesaro was really good. I love the match with Cesaro. And the people still love Rey. And the people still love Rey. It's not that they don't. It's not that they don't love Rey. It's just hasn't been in the best. I guess in the best of
Rey
creative
is at the
terms.
point of his career that he needs somebody to help carry his match.
Yes,
Like Rey's carried so many people's matches over the years that it's ridiculous when Rey gets into a match with somebody that won't carry the match for him. And Cesaro's one of those professionals that anybody can work with him because he's so selfless, you know.
Yeah, it also helps that he's built like a brick shithouse, and he can also, you know, work like a cruiserweight in some aspects. He's a guy that, you know, he's already reached his glass ceiling.
Sure.
You know, and I love Cesaro. It pains me to say it, but, you know, he's not going to be a world champion anytime soon, or anytime at all. At best, you know, Intercontinental Champion, U.S. Champion. I personally wouldn't mind seeing Cesaro in NXT.
That could be interesting. Cesaro in NXT would make sense. I would only like to see it because I wouldn't mind seeing the reunification of the Kings of Wrestling. As people know, I'm a huge Chris Hero mark, even though he has a questionable past at best. And Cassius Ohno is just the shittiest name you could possibly give the dude. But I've always been a fan of Chris Hero. Always thought Chris Hero was just a fantastic worker back in the day. And I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I know, you know, he got in trouble for enzymes and whatever else was wrong with his body. But Chris Hero is a guy that should have at least gotten some time on the main roster. I always felt like it was just kind of a missed opportunity, you know. So.
Well, supposedly, according to CM Punk, he was supposed to be in the Shield when Punk, you know, who claims, quote unquote, that, you know, it was his idea to start the Shield, and he originally wanted Seth and Dean, and then, you know, Ono or Hero, but you know they wanted Roman because, you know, Roman's a good looking guy, you know, he's what they want, so whatever. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, it seems like everybody in NXT has had a chance to be on the main roster in some aspect, but they don't want to do anything with Chris Hero, and I don't know if like what you just said, you know, he kind of has a questionable past, or maybe he just pissed someone off in the back. I don't know, but
no, I just think they don't like his physique. I mean, he does kind of have a doughy physique. We've even busted chops about it. I think I remember putting up a picture of him when he first debuted without his shirt. he looked like Krang from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, he had a little brain in his stomach and shit like that. It was pretty bad. But yeah, no, Chris Hero's physique is very doughy, and when he was younger, he was never a big physique kind of guy, though. Anyways, he's always looked like the everyman. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. When you say doughy, it's just, look at Otis from, Heavy Machinery. Like, that was kind of...
That dude's size. Otis is a big boy, doughy or not. Like, his physical stature is huge. Hero doesn't have that physical size stature in the same way that an Otis does,
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
What else happened on NXT? Yeah, you just talked about the. That's pretty cool. The North American title match with Dream and Roderick Strong. I kind of saw. Mr. Charisma. I kind of saw it coming because they want to make the Undisputed Era. I mean, they're already a thing, but they want to tell the narrative of. They have all the belts. They run NXT. They A, B, C, and D.
No,
So, here's a question I have for you. Do you see them adding another member?
I don't know. I don't know. Right now, with everything getting changed over, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some new surprises coming up, especially when AEW is on the horizon. But I don't know. I really don't know. Like, NXT is such a question mark right now for me because they've already hinted at crossovers between the NXT UK and the main NXT division. And I would not be surprised if a lot of this roster gets swapped out. I wouldn't be surprised with the draft coming up that some of these guys get pulled up to the main roster. We really are in a complete vortex of confusion. Like, I don't know what WWE is going to do, and it's even hard for me to guess what they're going to do after Survivor Series because there's just so many questions. There's just so many possibilities right now, and I'm really excited for it, but at the same time, I'm tentative. Sorry, because I don't want them to make bad decisions. I don't want them to pull people that aren't ready or pull people up and completely destroy their character. Like, a lot of people are believing that Velveteen Dream is going to be the next guy to go up on the main roster. And while there's a lot of people that are like, oh, that's fantastic, it'll be great for him, there's still a lot of us that are like, oh, shit, he's going to get ruined up there, So.
Yeah, because I said a long time ago, of all the guys in NXT that I think, could, be an automatic superstar, and there's DJ White Sox. Can you turn off your mic, please? Of all the guys in NXT, that I think could be an automatic star, I said, Matt Riddle, Dream. I also said Aleister Black, and look how that's going out. Look how it's turning out. And it's just like, how do you take a guy in Aleister Black who looks like he has it, like Chris Jericho used to say, he has it. He has that. He has. Maybe not charisma. I mean, he has charisma without having to really talk. He has that look of like a Norwegian lead in a metal band, or a lead in a Norwegian metal band. Women love him. They want to fuck the shit out of him. Men want to beat him, or possibly fuck the shit out of him. I don't know. I don't judge. But the dude can wrestle. He's over as fuck. He's still over as fuck. But for whatever reason, they decide to stick him in a room and have him go, somebody fight me, knock on my door, fight me. Yeah. And it's just like, how do you fuck that up?
I don't know. It's ridiculous because he was the guy that a lot of people, casuals and otherwise, smarks, whatever have you, all believe that this guy was going to be the one to change it up, that he was definitely a main event performer, that this guy was built to bring in some new direction into WWE, and then the idea that he would be working with Paul Heyman was another resurgence where a lot of people believe that, apparently Aleister Black is a Paul Heyman guy, and Paul Heyman sees a lot of future and promise and potential in the guy, and still they've got nothing. I don't know what it is, but he's not the only one. They did the same thing with EC3. They did the same thing with Maverick, but at least Maverick pulled his own ass out of the fire and got involved with that 24/7 stuff. That put him on TV.
I'm so tired of that 24/7 shit. I'm fed up with it. I don't care. I mean, I love Truth, but I just don't care about it anymore. I don't care about I stopped caring about Carmella like even before she got on the main roster. I'm done with it. Like, I kind of want it to end. It's meaningless to me, in my opinion. But go ahead.
It is meaningless, though. No, but it is meaningless. You're right. But that's kind of the fun of it. Is like that title, it doesn't matter. It's actually people just having fun for the sake of having fun. Nobody's going to ever tell you that, a 5-star match between R-Truth and Mayor Kane. You know, it's not supposed to be like that. I think it's a throwback to, hey, look, we can laugh at ourselves, do something goofy, and it's not the worst thing on television. So I'm okay with it for what it's worth. But no, you shouldn't be looking at that as a genuine title. It should not have anywhere near the prestige that other titles are supposed to have. But as far as entertainment value, I think it's done its job. You know, if that's what filler's going to be, shit, I want more filler.
Yeah, I guess it's because I just don't like Carmella. Maybe that's the problem. But and then speaking,
don't worry about that. She's coming to fucking who is it? Charlotte's rescue now.
When I saw that, because me and my girl were watching SmackDown the other day, she like has a disdain for Carmella. I don't even know how to explain it. I think I asked her and she literally just said, I just fucking hate her. When NXT first came to San Antonio, this is when NXT was like, you know, becoming a thing, like in its first year. And I remember it was Alexa Bliss versus Carmella. And you know, my girl, she automatically liked Alexa Bliss, and Alexa Bliss was supposed to be the heel. And Carmella was supposed to be the quote-unquote face. And my girl was just like, I don't like her. There's just something I don't like about her. And it's been like that for the past 4 years. And basically when she came...
Anything at the table, man. Like, the best thing that Carmella ever did, in my opinion, was with Enzo and Cass. And I know she had kind of a little run there with James Ellsworth, but let's not kid ourselves. James Ellsworth was the star of that show between him and Carmella, you know? So, Carmella herself, I really don't see her being anything more, you know, in her career. I just don't understand why people get behind Carmella. Like, her best thing is being a cheerleader. And then she was R-Truth's dancer or whatever.
Yeah, that got on my nerves. The whole dance break, and it's just she's just not good. Like, overall, there's just nothing good about her. Right. And it doesn't help that every week you see her on TV, she literally is turning into an alien.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, I don't have to spell it out why she's still important on the roster, right? Like, everybody can pretty much gather why a girl who barely can wrestle, who kind of looks like a melted candle, who has the charisma of a fucking infected toenail. She's the only reason she's out there is the same reason that Rosa Mendez was kept on the fucking the payroll for as long as she was.
Wait, she's blowing Michael Cole or Michael Hayes?
Hey, maybe both. You know?
This is electric.
Vintage Carmella.
Oh man, that was good.
Dude, yeah. There is so much talent that they have on all of the rosters, even outside of WWE. And there's so much talent that they have coming up that you really have to just put 2 and 2 together and realize that these girls without any talent that they continue to push are only there because they're sleeping with someone. And the reality is WWE is fucking Caligula. There's just sex everywhere, you know. A lot of it in-house. This is not news. This is something that's been reported over the years by many different people. You know, I mean, even the way that Daniel Bryan and Brie met was through Caligula-esque antics.
He,
You
li-
know,
he lit.
that's what I'm saying. Like, it shouldn't be any surprise to people that everybody's fucking everybody in that company. You know, I mean, even when Joey was talking about it a couple weeks ago, he's like, well, you do realize the whole reason that Rusev was depushed was because somebody wanted Lana. And they didn't realize that Lana and Rusev were going to become married. And then they publicized the marriage and everything else like that without WWE's permission. As if fucking people need WWE's permission to get married. But,
So,
you know.
do you think this is a Vince McMahon thing, or do you think somebody is going up to him and saying, I don't like this guy, depush him?
No, it's not a Vince. It's not a Vince thing. I'd be surprised if Vince even gets fucking wood anymore. Come on. It's definitely the other people. It's the other people working in the company being petty.
Kevin Dunn?
Who knows, man? I'm just saying. I couldn't say because there's no actual definitive, information on who's sleeping with who. Like even tonight, while we were watching NXT, me and a bunch of the guys in the soup chat room, we were looking up Mandy Rose stuff. There's Wikipedia saying that Mandy Rose is 29, but Amanda Saraceno, or whatever the hell her last name is actually 35 years old. And there's pictures of her with her 2 kids. And
What?
she has her kids on Total Diva. Right. And then there's Wikipedia saying, no, she's not engaged. She's not married. She's nothing. And then there's another site saying that, well, the whole reason she's not engaged anymore is because Mike something Buki or Gucci or something like that left her for another woman. And he's like some big New York entrepreneur chef or something like that, And it's just this crazy winding road of misinformation all the way around Mandy Rose. So on one hand, Mandy Rose is a 35-year-old mother of 2 that lost her fiance to another woman, whereas in Wikipedia and stuff like that, she's dating Sabatelli or whatever. She's dating that other Italian wrestler, and she's 29 years old, and she doesn't have any kids. So I don't know, man.
Did you happen to see her Maxim spread?
I saw the small clips of it. Yes, she's a gorgeous woman. She really is.
Like she almost doesn't seem real.
Right.
She seems like one of those women that, and from all accounts and purposes of her, she's actually pretty chill. And, she's pretty cool in real life. But she's one of those women that she looks so beautiful that it's almost uncomfortable. It makes you uncomfortable.
It wasn't that long ago that we had Eva Marie.
But Mandy, I think Mandy seems like she'd be a lot more chill and a lot more relaxed to be around than Eva Marie.
Yeah.
With Eva Marie, she not to say that Mandy, isn't plastic in, some ways, but Eva was plastic up the wazoo. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh yeah, no, she totally was. She was plastic, mind, body, and soul. But I think that the idea of Mandy Rose being a better version of Eva Marie is absolutely a reality. I think that the girl is just as beautiful as Eva Marie was, without the attitude, without the the hang-ups. And I think that I think in some scenarios they're not pushing her the way that they wanted to push Eva Marie, and I think that's kind of unfortunate. But I think absolutely this girl has a lot more to offer than Eva Marie does. And there's even rumors. I think Kevin Castle was telling me that there's even rumors that Eva Marie might be coming back. So,
Ugh.
yeah.
I sure as shit hope not, but you never know.
Yeah, true.
Is somebody's mic on?
Lace up Kia.
Oh shit!
No worries, dude.
Yeah, just if you can, please turn off your mic. Or I can just turn it off for you. It's fine.
Yeah, you can always mute it.
Okay, there we go. But yeah, I mean, they brought back Bobby Lashley, so I'm pretty sure they'll bring her back in some shape or form. But yeah, going back to NXT. Speaking of Bobby Lashley, how surprised were you to see fucking Leo Rush?
Not very surprised. I mean, he's still a major part of the company. He's somebody that they believe in. And he's got good charisma, even though the guy's kind of a shitbag. The reality is Leo Rush can definitely talk, So that's a bonus, I think. I think that's something that they need more of. I think one of the weaknesses that WWE has had over the last year, specifically one of the biggest challenges that they've had over the year, is not having talent that can talk, that can improv, that can roll with the punches. Everything feels so heavily scripted now. Even Kofi's big run feels so heavily scripted that it's like it's not even the same guy that people fell in love with. And so if they can manipulate or at least help Lio Rush grow into a more charismatic character that's beneficial to himself and to the company, then shit, by all means, use that ability that he has, you know?
I was very surprised because, he was on that podcast or somebody's podcast a while back where he pretty much just said, he kind of felt like, he thought it was kind of racist that people asked him to, like, hold somebody's bags or push their bags or whatever. But, I'm
that's
glad.
All wrestlers, dude, that's such a stupid statement because that's just a thing in the wrestling industry, is that the younger guys take the older guys' bags. It's not a race thing. Doesn't matter if he was black or Hindu or Japanese or what. It just doesn't matter. Younger guys carry the older guy's bag. That's just a sign of respect is all it is. That's all it is. There's weird, this isn't news. People all know this. There's little hang-ups in wrestling. I'm sure Joey can go into it 1,000-fold. Even the way you shake hands with somebody has to be done a special way. You shake hands softly to a point just to let the other person know. I guess it's a symbol of how you work. You work light, you work soft, you work delicate. Or as, other people would just shake the hand really hard and then they'll look at you like an asshole. It's the way that you carry yourself. You're supposed to introduce yourself to every single person in the locker room if you're the new guy. It's just, these are rules that have been set in place for 100 fucking years. So for him to come around and go, that's racist, that's stupid. That's what that is.
Again, that's why I said I was surprised that they decided to keep him, because I honestly thought he left. Yeah. But I guess it kind of was like a Sasha Banks situation where, I'll retract that statement because it's already been brought to the light that what happened or what really happened to her. But I guess it's similar in some aspects that they either sent him home or he decided to take a whatchamacallit, I guess like a mini vacation. But it was good to see him back. Him and Oni Lorcan, they had a pretty good match. The crowd seemed like they were pretty hot for it.
Yeah.
So what's your whole view on them having the cruiserweights on the show?
Anything to get those guys more exposure. I'll be honest, watching the cruiserweights is one of the most difficult things that I do, and I rarely do it. I don't really care about the cruiserweight division as much as I should. I did in the beginning. I think I was one of those bigger fans for it, back when obviously Pac was on there or Neville was on there, and back with Aries and everybody else. I had a lot more faith in it, even with TJ Perkins, Like, I had more faith in what they were doing with it with Brian Kendrick and stuff. And at some point along the way, it just really faded into nothingness. Like, I don't know if it's because the storylines meant less or because the matchups meant less, but 205 Live is not as important as when it first started. And even talking about it now is difficult because I don't pay attention to it as much. The storylines just aren't there. The athleticism is there. Some of those guys are very talented. It's just, they just don't keep my attention. It's not for me.
Do you think that's why they added that second hour in NXT to include them?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm pretty sure that nobody wants to pull the plug on 205 Live because right now it seems like WWE is really against the idea of firing anyone. But if they pulled the plug on 205 Live because it's not drawing in any kind of attendance or viewership at home or anything like that, there would be a lot of people that they'd have to fire, Yeah,
I agree with you. I would not want anyone to lose their job.
Sure.
Like, at all, except for Paige. But that's a different story. But with the 205 Live guys, I was always under the impression that they would be on just one show and not their own show. Kind of like in the old days when the cruiserweights were primarily just on SmackDown. You know what I mean. So I'm glad they're on NXT. It's interesting matchups. Have the NXT champion versus the cruiserweight champion. You can just have one of those one-off matches. I kind of agree with you where when 205 Live first started, it seemed like it was going to be something big, or maybe as big as it was before, maybe even bigger. But I think it was a combination of everything you said, and also the fact that guys like Neville were gone, and then you had Enzo, who for a while he was making 205 Live mean something. Like he was closing out Raws for I think like 2 or 3 nights in a row, or 2 or 3 weeks in a row. And I think it was John Draper actually said he thinks when Enzo ended up getting fired from the company, that was not only the decline of 205 Live, it seemed like it was almost the decline of Monday Night Raw in general.
Yeah, he's not wrong. I mean, fucking Enzo getting shit canned is still by far one of the loudest things I've been bitching about for years, or not years, but a year plus at least. I was completely adamant against it from day one. His suspension was bullshit. His firing was bullshit. The removal of that guy was complete politics. It was politics by lesser people. I understand that Enzo wasn't the greatest worker in the world, but the guy was more charismatic than everyone on the fucking roster. Dare say I would say he was even more charismatic than John Cena at this point. I really believed in Enzo. Thought that he had a great gimmick, a great character, even when he went over to 205 Live and he started rebuilding himself as kind of like this leader among other men. It fucking worked. The guy can just turn chicken shit into chicken salad no matter what he does. And the fact that he's not even hired in the company now, after everything's been disproven, after Gucci Witch turned out to be a fucking Instagram whore that used Me Too in order to further some bullshit agenda that she had where she wanted to make money off of the back of Enzo's career. It just goes to prove that WWE is a spiteful company sometimes, and they don't fucking do the right thing. So,
Yeah, that's one thing I'm never going to
understand. I get passionate about it because it's bullshit. I'm sorry, yeah.
No, dude. No, dude, I'm on your side. Like, I was never the biggest Enzo fan, but, the dude, I guess the only thing he did wrong was just not tell what?
Not even something wrong. Why is it his job?
No.
He didn't even know about the lawsuit.
No. I was retracting my statement. I was just thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? Come to think of it, he didn't really do anything wrong. I mean, yeah, he fucked a crazy chick, but that's about it. He shouldn't have had to tell WWE, hey, I fucked some crazy broad in Arizona or wherever. Just letting you guys know. Okay. Right. We don't need to know about that, Enzo. But
right. Like, what are you supposed to do? Tell WWE every time you fuck somebody that's not part of the company?
Like, is that going to be a new thing? We want you guys to let us know who you fuck. Right. We want all that good
shit.
All that good shit. So, but yeah, again, I'm actually starting to get pissed off thinking about it too. Like, Enzo shouldn't have even been suspended. I mean, the most WWE should have done was been like, hey, we just heard about this A, B, C, and D. That should have been the end of the conversation. Right. Yeah. And not suspend him, not fire him, not do anything to him. But, with this whole Me Too thing, that, when the whole Me Too thing got brought to the light in, like, what was it, like a year and a half ago? 2 years? It just really took over. And it seemed like they were almost kind of like taking over how, companies should treat their employees. Like, I heard a rumor about such and such. You should fire him or suspend him because we heard that he supposedly did this. Well, that's what we've gotten to, man. All you have to do is accuse somebody of something, and they lose their job. Now, they don't have to have any proof. They don't have to have any kind of support to back it up. They just have to say it. If you went online right now and you said, I hate to bring this to the light, but as a black man, Roman Reigns said some racial epithets to me. You don't have to be a black dude. You could just say,
Roman Reigns called me the N-word. You know, I was trying to get his attention so he could sign something for me, and he turned around and he called me the N-word. And people would bite onto that. And as long as you pushed an agenda with that, a political agenda, Roman Reigns could get taken off of TV, let alone he might even be fired for something like that. You know what I mean? That's how disgusting this fucking social media presence has become. You know?
It's kind of like when you were on the show the last time and we talked about the Liam Neeson thing, where, you know, if anyone doesn't know about it, you know, this is like last year, not even last year, but like Liam Neeson, you know, was promoting a movie and he talked about a situation when he was younger where he said a friend of his got raped and the friend told him it was a black person, and he said, you know, I was so filled with rage that I was ready to beat up any black person I saw. You know, just paraphrasing. And then he, you know, backed his statements up by pretty much saying, you know, I was so filled with rage and I was just ready to kill anyone or hurt anyone that it scared the shit out of me. And yeah, I mean, Antox, I agree with you. You know, maybe calling him a black bastard wasn't the right choice of words, but, you know, kind of like, you know, you said, Mish, you know, as a not just as a man, but as a human being, you know, when you're filled with so much rage and emotion, you're not always going to think logically. You know, at the same time, you're also going to want to do and say something that's going to hurt that person the worst. Yeah. Especially when they went after someone that you care about. So
I got to ask you, it's been 100 episodes. Been 100 episodes, Drew. You should be going down memory lane. You should be talking about some of your fantastic moments on the show. You should be reminiscing a little bit on your trip here and reminiscing about the next 100 episodes that you're going to do, man. What are your plans for the next 100?
I guess just get there. You know, when I get there, I'll tell you about it. I'll let you know about it.
Well, do you plan on doing video at some point? Do you plan on changing platforms? Do you plan on doing something different? Or
I know for certain I'm going to get a new mic. I was thinking about getting that mic that you were telling me about, that AT2020. Definitely get a mixer. Definitely get that recorder, that Behringer, whatever the hell it's called.
Oh, no, that's my mixer. I use a Behringer. I use a Mackie. As far as a recording device, I have a hardware recorder, which is my Tascam DRO5. Yeah.
And also, you know, and let's reminisce a little bit. So I talked about the first episode. For the longest time, I always kind of relied on, you know, having guests on the show because I felt more comfortable. I was not very good in solo shows. Like, I kind of felt like a nervous wreck doing a solo show. After a while, it was kind of one of those things where I was kind of forced to do solo shows, you know, because, and I don't really know if anyone knows about this, but I'll kind of put it out there. My ex-co-host, you know, me and him haven't talked since February. And he kind of officially cut ties with me, you know, last October. For anyone that doesn't know about it, his name is Devin, and he was my co-host for the longest time. He actually has his own, you know, podcast on YouTube. Basically, what happened is, and anytime I talk about it, anytime I talk about it, it kind of hurts, and it's also kind of stupid. Like on Facebook, you know, anyone that has a Facebook, there's always that thing that pops up every day saying, you know, did you know 5 years ago you want to go get a Coke Zero?
Yeah, I hate those. People always tag me that shit, and I'm like, yeah, dude, that's awesome. I don't remember this post.
Oh my! Do you ever like look at old posts from like 9 years ago and just cringe?
No, I could barely keep up with posts today. Jesus.
Oh my god. Anyways, but like, I found a post from like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. And
it was literally a post that said Harry Potter sucks.
Uh-huh.
So I shared it, and I admit I kind of like to fuck with people because I have people on my friends list, you know, that I like to mess with or whatever. You know, it's kind of a dick thing to do, but you know, it's just me. And afterwards, I'll even say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I'm just messing with you." So I share it on Facebook, and I put, I still think it sucks. And, I had a couple people reply. I had Devin reply. He didn't really get mad. He was more just like, okay, why do you think it sucks? Like, be honest. And I just replied to him. I put, it's just not, I'm just messing with you. It's just not for me, blah, blah, blah. And we laughed about it. And then his friend, like one of his friends decides to write an entire, like, page, like take up the whole page and write, oh yeah, well, blah, blah, like, and I don't even remember what it was about. I literally just maybe looked at it for a second and went, are you, like, dude, it's a joke, chill out. And I've been having trouble with this guy before because he, like, I would post something and he would always, like, comment on it, but he would comment on it in a way to kind of piss me off. If he had an opinion about something, he would just go, well, why don't you like it? And it's just like, well, because A, B, C, and D. Or I would just say, because I just don't like it. That's just it. And he was one of those people that's just like, well, I need a better answer than that, pretty much.
I need a better answer? Yeah, that dude's just a piece of shit, then. Look, you explain things to the best of your knowledge. That's what you do. That's the mark of a good podcaster. That's the mark of a good conversationalist. As far as doing solo shows and stuff like that, I've never been a heavy solo show guy, other than doing like the Mass with Mishes back in the day, or like the music show. I'm not too much of a solo guy.
Yeah.
Guys like Joe, guys like John, guys like DT, even Kevin Castle. These guys can all just talk away. They're just nonstop in the ability to talk. But the one thing that I've always found myself to have a strength in is to be able to keep a conversation going through questioning, through asking interesting questions, through kind of just narrating along, peppering in news and information. Like, that's my whole kit. So, yeah, solo shows are difficult. They're difficult because I don't think that there's a lot of people that understand that it's not just you talking to the fucking voices in your head, but you have to actually be entertaining and have a point and go in a direction in order to almost narrate, your thoughts and narrate the information that you see, so that the people listening at home or the people listening live can play catch up and understand what you're saying, and you have to articulate your thoughts to the point where they're questioning them, either good or bad. It doesn't matter. As long as they're questioning you, you're doing your job right. You're doing the job of being entertaining. Not everybody has to be a comedian. As long as you can bring up points of interest, things to make people think or go, that's an interesting take, or that's different than what I thought, then you're still doing your job. Like Don, Tony, and Kevin and Joe and John, these guys are phenomenal. They're just fucking phenomenal at that. And I think some of us are built for doing solo shows, and some of us aren't, So I think it's all in the strength that you find within yourself, what your strengths are. And obviously training and repetitive, broadcasts and stuff like that, and doing the same thing over and over and over again. You become familiar. You become a little bit more at ease with yourself, and a little more at ease with the way that you describe things to your audience too. So,
well, what I started doing a while back was I would actually like take down notes. Like I would, I'd have a journal. I have like 5,000 journals in this house, and I would just, put, notes for the show, and I would just write, whatever I was going to talk about on the show, whether it be wrestling related or news related, and I would take down notes, and I would also look up, what the topic is about, and I would put bullet points like it's about this, about this, is about this, and then just kind of study it. I used to, every now and then I'll still do it, but I'll just pull up, Google Chrome or whatever, and I'll just pull up the topics. But then that kind of gets a little annoying because sometimes there'll be music in the background on the pages, or sometimes, the pages will, stop loading or whatever. So I'll just stick to, writing down my notes, to make it a lot more easier instead of just me, literally reading off of someone's article. Unless it's like a important news article, you know what I mean? But, yeah, going back to the story to finish up with Devin, this guy, I'm going to say his name, I don't give a fuck. His name is Thomas. And I could have easily just went, you know what, you don't like my post, just unfriend me, unfollow me, or just block me. That's all you gotta do. Instead, I decided to just, like, go off on this guy, like, give it to him. and he does the whole, huh, you're getting all butt hurt, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's talking shit. And, he, in the end, he blocks me, good. And
Right.
after a while, I wasn't hearing from Devin. I'm like, is he seriously pissed off at me? So I remember I wrote him on Facebook. I just said, can we talk? And, we just start talking for a bit. And he pretty much just tells me, I'm tired of you always baiting people and then going off on them. I went, how did I bait somebody? I mean, technically I kind of did, because I just said, I like to fuck with people or whatever. But I brought it up. I'm like, he notoriously likes to mess with people. I even heard, a mutual friend of us say that he'll purposely fuck with people. Like, he'll go online and fuck with people. He'll basically be a troll. So I'm just like, okay, if that's how you're going to be, then whatever. Like, that's all you. I don't got time for people like that. So, basically going back to the solo thing, like, I would basically write down my notes, and it got to the point where it was actually a lot easier to do a solo show, especially when I had something that was interesting to me. Whether it be, wrestling, or whether it be, like, talking about a movie. Like, at times, I'll do movie reviews on here, which, I'll tell you about that later. It makes it less stressful when you actually have something interesting to talk about. I was on my friend's podcast where we were talking about WrestleMania. His name is Peter. His podcast is called The Peter Position, and great fucking name. His podcast is mainly he'll talk about politics, but he's also a wrestling fan.
Okay.
And he originally told me, yeah, let's talk for about like 15 minutes about wrestling. I'm like, that's going to be a little difficult, buddy. And we ended up talking for about like 45 minutes. And I told him, yeah, there's no way you can have me on here and not talk about wrestling for at least an hour or close to an hour. So, it's at the same time, it's always fun to have guests on. I try to get guests on as much as I can.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, the difference is the spices of it. I mean, different guests are going to bring out and bring different moods to the show. Whether it's just us having John or on to change it up a bit and stuff like that. It doesn't matter. Different guests inspire different conversations. The way that, for example, even the way that me and DT talk are completely different. The conversations I have with DT are completely different than the way the conversations with myself and Joey or myself and John run. They're just completely different overall, just because of what they bring to the table. And that's what you expect from guests. That's what you expect from co-hosts, and that's what you expect from the rotating chair, is that you get a different dynamic from a different mindset of the people that join the show.
Yeah, because with Joey, it's always going to be a wrestling show, or obviously the show's called
Joey.
Wrestling.
Oh my God, no! If Joey had his way, he'd talk about politics and Tom Brady's dick size all fucking day long. I've never met anybody that loves Tom Brady more than Joey Numbers. Holy shit. That fucking guy and his New England Patsies, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, you're gonna hate me, but I'm also a Pats fan.
That's fine. Like I said, I do one every goddamn week.
In my case, I became a Pats fan kind of by default because my girl, she's been a Pats fan for a while. She actually was a Pats fan when they had Drew Bledsoe.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
So it's weird because she's lived in San Antonio her whole life, but yet she has some type of like obsession with all things like Massachusetts related. You know what I mean? Like, she loves New Kids on the Block. Like, she still loves it.
Oh dear.
Yeah. New Year's Eve, I'm trying to play Destiny, and she has New Kids on the Block like on shuffle, and the whole time she's dancing and singing. I'm thinking, boy. She loves the Celtics. She loves the Pats. So I recently became a football fan, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So I became a Pats fan out of default. by default. But yeah, going back to the shows, with you and John, it's always more of like a, how do I say this without sounding like an ass? Kind of like a nerd show. Like, you guys are talk about the movies, you guys talk about comic books, and which I love because I'm a huge nerd. Anyone that knows me knows I'm a huge nerd.
Yeah.
So, it like, anytime you guys talk about comics, I'm always just sitting there, taking notes, like, what do I need to read? Like, I haven't heard of these titles, I need to read these. You guys are what kind of made me have to read House of M.
Oh, okay, cool.
And with me, like, when I read, like, when I was a kid, I used to be able to just, like, start a book and then get to, like, the middle and then finish the rest of it the next day. As I grew, I got lazy, reading because, I guess my attention span, got, is no more. But, with House of M, that automatically caught my interest from beginning to end. Like, I got to the point where I couldn't even stop. It's such a good fucking book.
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
Like, I'm like already pining. Like, can I get to the part where she says no more mutants, no mutants, no mutants, and my heart's already racing. And then finally, when it gets to the no mutants part, I'm just like, ah.
Right. Yeah, it was deep, man. It was one of the better moments in comic book history. I mean, just her saying that alone was fucking dark as hell. Especially considering she is a mutant.
Yeah, she got tired of mutants. 'Cause, I mean, technically, it was Magneto's fault.
Well,
yeah. Speaking of which, you heard the rumor about apparently Marvel wants to make Magneto and Professor Xavier black.
Yeah, they need to stop doing that shit. Look, the comic book industry, I know the actual physical comic book industry is having issues. And, obviously the movies are doing fantastic and the MCU is doing great. But I mean, just this whole changing people's ethnicity and races and genders and God knows what else just in order to try and shield the lowest common denominator is just wrong, in my opinion. Make new superheroes, make new villains, make new stories. Stop trying to reinvent the stories that originally exist. It's really garbage. For example, and I kind of talked about it the other day, and I'm curious as to what John's answer was because I was talking about it to John too, and I put it up on his Global Balding tonight. But why am I blanking on this girl? Not Anita Sarkeesian, the other one, the one from Gamersgate. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Gamersgate?
Yeah.
I don't believe I do.
Okay. Well, it's one of these feminists, these third wave feminists. She basically just got caught up killing her ex-boyfriend in a way, like pushing him to suicide. And she got away with it because, she's a poor female who's constantly getting bullied by men. And now they just gave her a role in writing the new Batman series. And I'm trying to think to myself, I don't know why I'm blanking on this girl's name. It's horrible. But it's like the worst possible candidate to actually write this. This is literally, if you had Vice write Batman, if you had BuzzFeed write Batman, that's what this girl is bringing to the DC universe. I understand why they're doing it. There's obviously a demo there, but Jesus Christ, is this where we're going? So Batman is going to become a feminist now? It's just, I don't know, man.
I mean,
stop fucking with the goddamn classics. That's my opinion on it. I understand that there are bad people out there. There are bad men and there are bad women out there that do bad things to other people. Do we have to sit there and scold everyone and teach everyone a lesson and ruin entertainment and change the Ghostbusters and change Ocean's 11 and change everything possible in order to be women-centric, in order to teach people this lesson? I mean, it's fucking horrendous. Zoe Quinn, thank you, Punked Enigma. Jesus Christ, that name was... Apparently I'm trying to bleach it out of my brain. Zoe Quinn is just a piece of garbage as a human being, and I hope she gets fucking found dead somewhere. She's just absolute cancer.
Whoa.
She's just a cancerous person. Oh, she's bad. Dude, there are bad people in the world, and she's one of them. She's literally brought down this entire movement saying that all men are rapists, all men are evil, your family members are evil if they're men. You know, like every single person that's a male wants to rape you and hurt you. And this is the ticket that she subscribes to. And meanwhile, she's a complete hypocrite. She's, you know, blowing dudes and using her feminine wiles to get up in the system. She's developed a game based on the backs of people who she slept with, you know, in order to get it published and everything else like that. Like, she's dirty, dude. And the fact that other women listen to her and follow her and believe in her because of the bullshit that she spews out is it's horrific. She's literally teaching an entire generation of younger women to pretty much manipulate other men, manipulate feelings, manipulate the system in order to benefit themselves, as opposed to doing things the right way, as opposed to recognizing actual problems and not making them up, you know.
Yeah, those people are just disgusting. It's like with Chloe Dykstra. Or is that her name, Chloe Dykstra?
Chloe Dykstra, what about her?
Yeah, it's very similar to that. I mean, this Zoe girl sounds like she's a lot more extreme than Chloe, but the whole Chloe thing with Chris Hardwick, where she claims that he was abusive to her. The one thing,
yeah, that was horrendous too.
The one thing out of that just disgusted me was, and the whole thing disgusted me, but the one thing that really disgusted me was he got fired from his own company that he founded. And one of the people that worked there literally said, Chris Hardwick is a piece of trash, and I believe women.
Right.
Because she said so. And then, you know, they did an investigation of everything, and now he has a show back. He's fine.
No, it wasn't even an investigation. The dude's exes.
Yeah.
The dude's exes stepped forward. His ex-wife's mother stepped forward. Like the people that should be against you and going, yeah, fuck Chris Hardwick, are the ones that ran to his defense because this guy is such a good guy. You know what I mean? Who could even imagine that not just one, but a bunch of your ex-girlfriends come to your rescue because this bitch said some lies about you?
Yeah, it was like,
you know what I mean?
it was like 7, right? Because
right.
I remember listening to an episode you guys were talking about that, and you guys are literally just going through like every one of his exes. And I think Joey had the comment of, how fucking old is Chris Hardwick? Is he like 70 or something? Because it just seems like he had a lot of girlfriends, and it's like,
popular guy, gets around, likes to enjoy himself. He probably enjoys himself and makes it very clear to the girls that he was dating that, hey, right now I'm just looking to have fun. I've got my career, you know, I'm career minded. Let's have fun together. Let's just experience life. And if you come straightforward like that to a lot of these women, they'll respect that. But you'll get the crazy ones too. They'll sit there and try and turn it around on you and call you a rapist and a fucking sexual abuser or whatever else, you know.
Yeah, and then she got exposed because he put out that long text message that he sent to her where he called her out saying, you know, that you cheated on me. I tried to make it work, but it just didn't work. Now I'm done with you.
Oh no, that was pulled up from the receipts.
What do you mean?
Those receipts that were pulled up from earlier texts. Like, those were receipts of the time. Like, she had a time period where she was mentioning all this stuff. And Chris Hardwick saved everything. Like, I guess he just never deletes anything in his phone, any of his messages, which in this case was very beneficial to him. And he saved everything and pretty much just explained it, you know, that here's the receipts from this time. And it completely told a different story. She was stalking him. She was trying to contact him. Why would you try to contact him if he's such an abuser? Why are you trying to constantly get back with him? He's clearly talked about the fact that your relationship was broken up because you cheated on him. You know, like she looked like a hypocrite. And same thing with Zoe Quinn. Golgo brings it up too. Thank you very much. You know, her whole thing too is she tried to say that Holoka, or whatever I forgot how to pronounce his name. It's some Norwegian name or whatever, but the ex-boyfriend that, you know, passed away, that, you know, killed himself. But she tried to sit there and say that he was abusive to her, and he, you know, like, put her in a box that she couldn't leave and she couldn't talk to her friends. And then there were these people that dug up her receipts on Twitter and everything else like that. And she's going out places and she's tagging her friends in photos of her having a good time. And so, like, everything that she said is complete bullshit. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, idiot. People are going to find out the truth. Even if you delete your account, it's not that difficult for people to do a deep search and find out all the actual information that happened. So this whole trip of horror that where he was abusing her and shit like that, it turned out to be bullshit. And then it goes one step deeper with the Holka kid, where he talks about how they were at like a party and stuff like that, and she's flirting with all these other dudes, and she's trying to mac on all these other dudes while he's there with her. You know, so she's being a rotten person and a horrible person from the get-go, bad in the relationship and everything else. Meanwhile, to the public and to all these girls, she's painting the picture of, oh no, I'm the innocent little lamb. I didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a woman. You gotta believe me. And it's just disgusting. It's fucking manipulative. It's dirty and it's disgusting. And now a kid who lost his job because of Zoe Quinn's accusations against him, who took his life because he couldn't take it anymore. And to be fair, the guy did have, I think he had mood swings. He might have had some bipolar disorder. But for the most part, this guy was, he was a healthy guy and stuff like that, other than, mentally. Took his own life. He took his own life because he couldn't fucking deal with it anymore, and nobody would believe him. And he was getting death threats from people because of Zoe Quinn, and he just ended it all. And piggybacking off the case of I forgot what the other girl's name is, out of Massachusetts or whatever, or right around there.
Do you mean that chick that like told her boyfriend to kill himself?
Yeah, Mandy. Shit, what is her name? Mandy something. I forgot.
Yeah, they had a documentary about it on HBO.
Right. But I mean, but it's the exact same thing. Where Mandy is trying to get her boyfriend to kill himself, and he tried to stop himself a few times, and she coerced him into finally doing it by challenging his manhood, challenging his love for her, by challenging all the things that this kid held sacred, and he finally offed himself. Whereas in this scenario, Zoe Quinn made up lies in order to bully this kid, and she sent people to target him. And these people targeted this guy. He lost his job, he lost his livelihood, he was very depressed, and he had people threatening to kill him. This is underneath that same guise, and I'm just very surprised that there isn't FBI investigations, that she's not arrested, that she's not being sued by the family, that she's not being put into court or jail or anything like that, because she happens to be a feminist icon. If anything, she just got rewarded with a DC contract. It's bullshit. And people get to walk away scot-free. So when I say shit like, I hope this bitch ends up in a ditch, I fucking mean it. Because the world would be better without people like Zoe Quinn around,
Just the way you're describing it, because I'm literally just now hearing about this for the first time. And she just sounds evil. Like,
right.
With evil...
Just like Anita Sarkeesian, just like a lot of these fucking women that are manipulative and trying to destroy people based upon fake outrage,
To me, that's the definition of a sociopath. Like, I'll explain it the best way I can, the way I see it. It's not just so much, you don't have any feeling or empathy or any emotion. You don't care who you hurt. Right. But you want to make your point, quote unquote, by just going about it in any way you can, whether it involves ruining someone's life or possibly killing them. To me, that's a sociopath. And just looking at this picture of her now that's in the chat room, the bitch just looks evil. Yeah. Like, with the whole Me Too thing, do you think it's gotten worse, or do you think it's more the same?
It's gotten worse in the sense that the fanatics now have doubled down. And the people that are screaming out Me Too now are the ones that are truly just boons on society as a whole. But it's gotten better because there's a lot of people that have completely ditched the movement altogether. There's a lot of people that see the holes in the movement and the idea of this being some purity raid, some kind of crusades against men. It's changed. They realize that the people that are making these accusations aren't as pure as they thought they were. I mean, look at the story with Alyssa Milano. Look at the story with, what's his name's wife, who was one of the leaders of Me Too, and ended up she was sleeping with a 17-year-old boy. And her husband, her famous husband, Tony, what is his name?
I know who you're talking about. She was in that movie, The Heart is like something, or The Heart is like
Right.
It has the word heart in it, but I know what you're talking. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right. But I mean, this other guy, famous chef, entrepreneur, like world traveler, and everything else like
Anthony Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain, thank you. Yeah, it was his wife that was one of the leaders of Me Too. That she was caught sleeping with a 17-year-old boy, and they had all these photos and stuff like that. And Anthony Bourdain for years. And it was written down, and it was proven. The kid came out, like, now he's like 30-something or 25 or, something up there. And he proved that, like, yeah, every month they fucking cut me a check. And when Anthony Bourdain died, those checks stopped coming, so he dropped those pictures. And that's exactly what it was. So.
Wait, so Bourdain, like, knew about it?
Yes.
Ugh. So did that have something to do with him killing himself?
No, it didn't. It's just one of the fucking things that he was dealing with.
I don't know, man. Like, I don't get what this world is coming to. Like, I really don't. Like, it seems like every week you open up the internet, somebody's offended, or not even every week, every day. Like, I don't know if you read the article because I posted it. I don't know if you've seen it.
Tony Gloss is right. He's like, he didn't kill himself. Yeah, I didn't think Anthony Bourdain killed himself either. But go on. Sorry.
Like, have you seen It Chapter 2 yet?
No.
So like the day after I saw it, there was literally somebody decided to literally go out of their way and write an article. I think it might have been Vice, where, and this isn't. I'm not really spoiling the movie for you. This is something that just happened in the movie.
No, I've already seen the original.
Okay, all right. So, like, in the beginning of the movie, there's a hate crime. Like, there's a scene where these bullies or these ruffians decide to go after a gay couple, and they throw one of the guys off like into the river, and he's floating, and Pennywise helps him up to shore, and Pennywise ends up eating him. Which, it's a rough scene to watch. Anything involving like a hate crime or bullying, it's always hard for me to watch. So, the very next day, there's an article from somebody that, I'm just going to paraphrase it. I guess Pennywise isn't the leader of the LGBTQ community that we thought he was. What? And it's literally because he ate a gay guy. And here's the thing, like the night before, or even the day before, I had talked to a friend about it that he ate a gay guy or whatever, and he said to me, well, he's an equal opportunist. You
can't trust Vice, dude. The new Joker movie? Did you see the article that they put out about the new Joker movie?
That
if you watch the new Joker movie, you're a neo-Nazi.
Oh, really?
That's what they said. They said that the Joker movie is now designed to show how Nazis have come about in our country.
Oh, my God.
Yes. So, Vice isn't really a place I go to other than to laugh at.
Oh, I laugh at it too, but, like, just that thing is like, dude, it's a fucking movie monster. They're gonna eat whoever they want. He fucking eats kids, right. And you don't say anything about that, but he eats a gay guy. Like, come on. And also the funny thing about the Joker movie, DC or Warner Brothers is actually using that to their advantage. They're using all the negative reviews to their advantage.
Yeah, but trying to sit there and classify that if you watch this movie, you're going to become a Nazi, that's some fucking straight up, like, National Enquirer level of reporting there. Man gives birth to 1,600-pound egg. That's what the fuck that is.
I was married to Bigfoot.
Right. This is my secret Bigfoot lover.
I swear to Jesus, I was just sitting there on my front porch, and I see Bigfoot just walking up to my porch. And the sumbitch, I'm going to tell you that, he grabs me by my ding-a-ling, and we just make love on my front porch. Mm-hmm. And now we is married.
Vice is rough, man. And you know what? And I see Ant's Toxic Go going at it in the chat. SJWs ruin this, SJWs ruin that. Sadly, though, and I think this is the biggest downfall of SJWs for the most part, the ideals of SJWs, the core ideals at the root of them, it comes from goodwill. It comes from a good place. However, SJWs that run like sites like Vice and BuzzFeed, when money gets involved, they say the most heinous and ridiculous shit just to inspire fear and just to create chaos and nonsense in order to get their clickbait sites up and make shit tons of money, because people follow those sites because they believe that those sites are like-minded with them. So when SJWs, especially the impressionable ones, they don't have to necessarily be young, but when SJWs hear or see something like the new Batman movie, the new Joker movie, is strictly dedicated to the neo-Nazi party, they're going to start thinking that anybody that likes that movie is a neo-Nazi. And it's just synonymous with the fear and the chaos and the bullshit that they accuse the right of,
I would think, people would go after it for, I guess, glorifying mental illness. Like, I'm not saying that's how I think. I'm just saying I would think people would go after it for that. But I don't get where they're coming from with this whole neo-Nazi thing. I honestly don't. Like,
I don't know. I haven't seen the Joker movie yet either, so I don't know. But I want to see the Joker movie. It looks fantastic from the trailers.
Well, I haven't seen it yet. I'm just going by the trailers. By the trailers, it's
great.
Oh, it looks amazing. Like, okay, I guess we can talk about the Joker movie already. Sure. When I see it, like, the director of the movie claims that they didn't take any comic book inspiration. And I'm seeing it, and I'm like, there is at least maybe 2 scenes in it that come from Batman comics, especially in the end of the trailer whenever he goes on that talk show. I just think of The Dark Knight Returns when he kills everybody in the whole studio. Like, he's on like a David Letterman, type deal. He literally kills everybody in the studio.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I have a feeling the movie's going to end with him killing Thomas Wayne.
Could be.
I mean, I don't. It seems like it's too obvious, so I don't know if it would happen. But I don't know. Maybe there will be like the second to last, scene in the movie.
Right.
But it kind of has to.
I can't even imagine where they're going to go. Like, that's the whole thing. I think they're trying to redesign it, and obviously, I think a lot of the mindset behind this Joker is more about the actor than it is about the Joker story itself. I think they want to get rid of the Heath Ledger Joker. I think overall, DC wants people to forget about the Heath Ledger Joker only because it really is a sad story, for the actor himself. Like, the monumentous moment of his entire movie career, the most well-known role he's ever done, and he's dead, and he dies, and that's it. It reminds me of Brandon Lee with The Crow.
Yeah.
Brandon Lee came out with his most monumentous moment in his career, the most defining character, and he died on set, and that's it. It's done. They came out with 4 other Crows after that, and they were all shit. Brandon Lee was the Crow. He was born for that, James O'Barr part. It was amazing. But unfortunately he died, And I think that Joaquin Phoenix playing the Joker in this, it's a completely different feel. It's much better than the Jared Leto version of the Joker, which they tried to shill out on people that nobody bit into. I think this Joaquin Phoenix of almost an everyman that loses his fucking mind along the way, it kind of has some of those Michael Douglas falling down aspects to it. That I think a lot of people love that movie. And people don't respect that movie enough. It doesn't get brought up enough, but Falling Down is absolutely one of the best movies when you want to see a normal person lose their shit and become a psycho. And I think that it feels like they're taking a lot of elements from Falling Down. They're taking also elements from, obviously, Heath Ledger's Joker as well. And I think Joaquin Phoenix might become the new Joker, the one that actually wows everybody. And I don't want to like preface it by saying, "Oh my God, a better Joker," but man, do we need one? You know.
I think here's what I like about Joaquin Phoenix. Before he even got cast as the Joker, I remember there's an interview he did where he was talking about superhero movies as a whole. The one thing he said that kind of just made me respect him a little bit more was he said he thinks superhero movies are good for the business. Like they're good for Hollywood. He had an interesting word to use. He said he's not a cinephile. You know, he likes all movies. He's a fan of superhero movies. I don't know if you knew this. He was actually in line to be Doctor Strange before Benedict Cumberbatch accepted. And then he backed out because he didn't want to like commit to like a
dad.
I'm sorry.
You said your dad?
What about my dad?
You said your dad was in line to be.
No.
Oh, okay.
I wish. No. Joaquin Phoenix.
Okay.
I'm
sorry, I misheard. I thought you were saying your dad was like in line to be in like one of these movies. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Sorry.
I wish. But yeah, Joaquin Phoenix was supposed to be Doctor Strange, but he backed out because he didn't want to commit. And then he gave that interview about doing superhero movies. He kind of brought up the idea of maybe doing a Joker movie because he said, let's take one of these characters and give it a really, 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 really low budget. And then when he said when they kind of brought up the idea, hey, what about the Joker? He literally, like his reaction was literally, oh, fuck, that's too crazy. So, him as the Joker I love. Like, because the first time I heard about them doing a Joker movie, I was on the fence. I was like, I don't know if that's a character that needs a movie. That's a character that needs to be a part of a movie, but not have his own movie. So, the more and more I see, like, photos or clips or trailers, it's a movie that I didn't know I wanted, but I, want right now.
Right.
And, I mean, there's already talk of it getting Oscar, nominations, Oscars or whatever. Joaquin's already getting, Best Actor buzz. I'm hyped for this movie. The talk going around it is that it's going to be the first in line of a new division for DC called DC Dark, or I think DC Dark or DC Black, where the director Todd Phillips, he's been pitching that to Warner Brothers, like, let's do something Marvel can't do. Like, and again, he didn't try to like bash Marvel movies. He said, you can't beat Marvel, but let's do something they can't do or won't do. DC Black, there you go, trademark. And I'm interested to see what they're going to do. Like, does that mean they're going to, take, let's do a rated R Batman movie? Or let's take lesser known characters and give them a rated R movie. Let's do a,
they need to fucking do Lobo already, don't they? Isn't everybody just waiting for Lobo?
That needs to happen. He was supposed to have his own show, but then Sci-Fi literally said, well, we know this show's getting good ratings and everyone likes it, but we have to cancel Krypton.
No, and not in Krypton. I know Sean's saying like Lobo's in Krypton, but I don't mean like Krypton. Like Lobo needs his own movie.
Yes, yeah, I'm agreeing with you. But I'm saying like he was on Krypton and he was already going to get his own show, but then they decided to cancel those shows because of, I guess, budget or money or whatever. But, I mean, Deadpool's already had 2 movies. Let's give Lobo's movie. Like, it kind of needs to happen already. What would, like, I'm interested. What's a movie, since we're already talking about, like, DC Black? Like, what do you think is a DC character, or even a Marvel character? Let's say they do a Marvel Knights movie or anything. Like, what's a Marvel character that you think could benefit from having an R rating?
And I'll always go back to Punisher, but I don't think that Marvel has the ability to make the Punisher movie that should exist.
Yeah.
I'm a diehard Punisher guy. And I don't know if it's because of the writing. I don't know if it's because of the rating. But they haven't made a good Punisher yet. And the closest one that we have to a good Punisher is the original Dolph Lundgren.
You know what? The last time you were on the show, like literally the next night, me and my girl watched that because she actually has it on a DVD, or no, she has it on VHS, like the original Punisher movie. And I just remember you saying, he literally looks like the Punisher. You were right. Like he has that.
Dolph looked like Frank Castle. It's crazy.
He has that Frank Castle look. He was riding on a motorcycle for whatever reason, but it wasn't terrible. Kevin Nash was in a Punisher movie, Maurice.
Right. That was the one with Jigsaw, right?
No, that was Warzone.
Oh, is that Thomas Jane or whatever?
No, Thomas Jane was the Kevin Nash one with John Travolta.
Right. Yeah.
I liked it.
I know.
I think Thomas Jane was a good Punisher. I just think everything around him was not working.
I would also if you want to talk about interesting comic books, I would love the origins of U.S. Agent to be in a Marvel movie, but they wouldn't do that. Although you think they would. Captain America is Captain America. U.S. Agent was interesting only because after he became part of the Superhero Commission, and he was their watchdog for a while, no pun intended, the Watchdogs, which were a white supremacy group, killed his parents in front of him because his best friends, left-winger and right-winger, told them where he lived. And so in the books, he watched his parents die, and they hung him, and he lost his fucking mind while they were stringing him up on a noose, and he swung out, and he broke free from the noose, and he killed every single one of them with his bare hands. It was like 30 guys. He just snapped their necks and ripped the fucking head and their spine out, and it was just covered in gore. He killed every single one of them. And then he went back to his friends, and he burned them alive. And he threw them in a fucking in a pit, and he fucking just buried them in a pit while they were still twitching. And it's like, this is a dark motherfucking story. I love U.S. Agent. U.S. Agent is probably my favorite character outside of Cap and Frank Castle and Punisher. He really is. It's a dark fucking character. And then for the next 10 years, he's going crazy because he starts seeing everyone as being a watchdog. And then there was the group, the Scourge, that came in. The Scourge were another white supremacy kind of assassin group. And they would go in there and they would execute old supervillains. So they would find supervillains that had been rehabilitated, and they would fucking kill them in their sleep. They'd kill their kids. They'd kill their wives and shit like that. And then he lost his shit there, going after them, thinking that he ran into his brother who died in Vietnam. Like John Walker, U.S. Agent, John Walker, Jack Daniels, whichever one you want to call him. He has the dark fucking history for being the icon of America for a while there. And the only reason that they quit having him as the icon is because he lost his shit. And Steve Rogers went in there and kicked his ass and fucking took the mantle of Captain America back,
So, I shared that post a while back when they announced that he's going to be in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, I guess, our TV show on the Disney Plus series. How do you think he's going to end up? Because the way you described him, that's something that you would have saw on a Netflix show.
Oh yeah, no, they're that's not going to be the U.S. Agent we see. I don't even know what they're going to do with him. Because there's a couple different variations of U.S. Agent. Then there's the U.S. Agent who was part of Avengers West Coast that almost killed Hawkeye, which I wish he did, but he didn't. Because I fucking hate Hawkeye. Fuck Hawkeye. Hawkeye's a piece of shit.
How is he a piece of shit?
Oh, he's just a smarmy ass fucking shit talker that he always gets away with talking shit about people, especially in the earlier in the 90s and stuff like that. He was a real asshole to everyone. And the only person that put him in his fucking place was U.S. Agent, brought him out to a beach. Now, U.S. Agent is super enhanced. Hawkeye isn't. Hawkeye has, his arrows and shit like that, and he has his battle armor, but he's not enhanced. Fucking John Walker could juggle elephants, and and fucking Agent is just punching him in the face and breaking his face and breaking his body, and he's about to fucking finish him off, and Iron Man comes out there and phaser beams his ass and says, "Chill the fuck out," And then Agent quits the Avengers, says, "Fuck you, go to blazes. I don't give this shit. I don't need you guys." It was great, but I'm like, fuck, he should have finished off Hawkeye. That would have been amazing. And then there was Hawkeye that was a part of Hammer, and Hammer was the anti-Avengers at the time, where they had, like, Wolverine's son was the new Wolverine, and Electro was Venom, and, Iron Patriot, which was Iron Man, was actually Osborn, Harry Osborn and shit like that. Yeah, Dackett. Thank you, Drew Yard. Yes, Dackett.
I know a couple things.
Right, and then there's the Hammer version, and he was a part of that. And then he joined with Omega Flight, and he took that over after Alpha Flight was destroyed. So Alpha Flight became Omega Flight, and they put in John Walker as kind of like the liaison between America and Canada and stuff like that. And he was a good member of Alpha Flight. He was also part of Force Works, which was Iron Man's version of the Avengers without the Avengers call tag. And that they changed him up. They gave him a laser shield and a fucking new outfit, and he looked really cheeseball. Whatever. But so I mean, he's been in the Marvel universe for a very, very long time, and he's always been the connection to the government, to the actual U.S. government, But I'm surprised it's taken them so long to even give him a bit role. But then I say that, and it's like, finally, it's happening. We're going to get a Namor film, and Namor has been in the goddamn Marvel universe forever, since before Captain America.
Yeah, the rumor is that he's apparently going to show up in Black Panther 2. Like, that's a very... It's not just like a rumor. It's like a strong rumor, which I seriously hope fucking happens.
Right.
With Namor, here's the weird thing about him, like his film rights. At first, his film rights were stuck at Universal. And then Kevin Feige, came out and said, "Oh, we now have Namor." And then when they asked him about Namor again... Namor's actually in Universal. It's like, so what the fuck is going on? So, go ahead.
No, I was just, Maurice Bear was, he's like, Namor? Like, he thought he was taking the word name and then war. I'm like, no, Namor, the Submariner.
Yeah, he's, I read that issue, I think John suggested it, where the storyline is that, somebody attacks American soil and they find out it's technology from Atlanta. Or not Atlanta. Fuck, how do you say it? Is it Atlanta or... Not Atlanta, but like Atlantis. There you go.
Atlantis, yeah.
And, the S.H.I.E.L.D., the Avengers, they're all after Namor because they assume he had something to do with it. So he decides to go find out himself. And they, the government or the FBI, they send Venom after him. And then... Venom's beating his ass. He actually rips off the wings on his feet, and Namor literally rips out his fucking tongue, and just he says something along the lines of, "I should kill you, but I'm just gonna let you die here." And he flies away, which I'm like, that was fucking dope. Like Namor's a fucking, he's a beast. He's a fucking badass. I
hope they bring in Namorita, and the only reason I want them to bring in Namorita, his younger sister. Mm-hmm. Because I really want to see the New Warriors. I was a huge New Warriors fan. And obviously, as people know, Speedball, who was also part of the New Warriors, is the one that created the original Civil War when he blew up the school and killed all those kids. Mm. And then later on, Speedball becomes Penance, which is probably one of the most badass fucking characters that was ever in existence. So he lost his powers. And the only way he could get his powers back is by feeling pain. So he made this suit that had nothing but spikes and knives and shit on the inside. So he would cut himself and hurt himself in order to have powers again. That was crazy shit, dude. It's awesome.
There's a lot of characters that I don't know if you ever like read those like random lists of the strongest characters in the Marvel universe that you don't know about or something like that. I guess it's because it's for the people that mainly read like or just like watch the movies or whatever.
Right.
I actually have a list here if you want me to go through it.
Sure. Fuck it. Let's go.
All right, it's on Ranker.
Got to be on that list.
It's the most powerful characters in Marvel Comics.
All right. Let's see if I can guess these.
Number 1 is the one above all.
Oh, wait, you're starting at the top or you're starting at the bottom?
Okay, let me start at the bottom. Okay. Yeah, this website's kind of...
above all, huh?
Fuck it, it's not
just
gonna...
made the list.
Alright, I'll just start from 1. Because for whatever reason, it's being weird. The one above all is number 1. Yeah, you've heard of him, right?
Galactus, and yeah, it's a Silver Surfer. It's a... Isn't it like a crossover, like one of those Thor, like the spacey Galaxy comics and shit like that?
Yeah, the one above all is the supreme being of Marvel and master of the nigh omnipotent entity known as the Living Tribunal. He is the only being in the Marvel multiverse with omnipotence. Unlike his counterpart, the Fulcrum, one above all does not involve himself in human affairs.
Right, the Watcher series and shit like that.
Number 2 is the Living Tribunal.
Okay.
Number 3 is Eternity.
Okay.
Number 4 is Infinity.
Okay.
Number 5 is Oblivion.
I don't know. Oblivion.
Oblivion is the personification.
Sounds like another Thor character. Yeah.
He is the personification of entropy, which is the collapse of
Entropy. Yeah, the entropy of patriarchs.
Yeah,
I know who that is.
Yeah, it's not really giving me too much information. It's just like giving me like I guess a small tidbit. Number 6 is. Go ahead.
It's almost like they're just dealing with the gods, and of course, anything that's to do with the Thor universe or the fucking Silver Surfer universe is going to be more powerful than everything else because they deal on the universe scale. It'd be interesting to see the most powerful mutants on Earth, powerful on Earth.
Well, speaking of mutants, number 6, the Phoenix.
Really?
Yep.
Huh. Okay.
Number 7 is Death.
Okay.
Number 8 is the Fulcrum.
Yeah. See, I completely disagree with this list already. Mephisto.
I have a feeling I'm
Mephisto
going to piss
and
you off.
Satanish should absolutely be up there. Mephisto is far more powerful than Death and far more powerful than Phoenix. And so is Satanish. And even to a lesser degree, Blackheart should be on this list too.
I have a feeling I'm going to upset you with this whole list.
That's okay. No, I'm just I'm disputing it for my own reasons. I can explain, but go on.
Yeah, you know like 10 times more about this than I do.
I know the older shit. That's what I know. I love the older comics. The 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, that's all me. Anything past like 2004 and up, I'm sporadic,
Well, I've actually like gotten into like more of the older shit. Number 9 is Kronos.
Okay.
Number 10 is Galactus.
Okay.
Number 11 are the Celestials.
Okay.
12 is Adam Warlock.
Okay. More powerful than Legion? I don't think so. More powerful than Onslaught? I don't think so.
Number 13 is Captain Universe.
Yeah, no Scarlet Witch. I mean, Scarlet Witch was up there with Phoenix at one point,
I mean, I can pull up a list of like the best mutants. Number 14 is Nemesis.
Okay.
15 is Beyonder.
Isn't that one of Hulk's enemies? Or no, that was Strange. Doctor Strange's enemy. Okay.
Number 16 is Dormammu.
Speaking of.
Number 17 is Odin.
Really? That far down the list, they're putting Odin? Shit. Okay.
You know who's next? Thor.
Okay.
19 is Thanos. 20 is Zeus.
Oh, yeah. No, this list is weird. Okay.
Well, it's on ranker.com. So.
Okay.
21 is Silver Surfer.
All right.
I could just feel you like scratching the wood.
No, I'm just curious. Like, who's the person that made this list? Because I don't think they're as familiar with comic books as they think they are.
22 is Onslaught.
All right. At least Onslaught made the fucking list. Jesus. Okay. I mean, he only killed half of the fucking universe.
Yeah, he's isn't he like the was it like the manifestation of Professor X and Magneto's mind?
Right.
That's a dope character. 23 is Sentry.
Which Sentry?
Robert Reynolds.
Okay. See, people forget that there's 3 Sentries. There's Sentry, which is Reynolds, which is the light and the darkness at the same time. There's Sentry that was part of Force Works, which was an alien. He was an alien with the ability to warp time and space and everything else like that. He could basically pocket jump everywhere. And then there's Sentry, the fucking robot, that one of the Sentries that kills all the X-Men.
Yeah, and he I forget which one it was where he took Carnage all the way up to space and just like had him dissolve in his hands. Like I don't know. 24 is Hulk.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, 25 Apocalypse.
Okay.
26 is Searcher.
Sorry, my fat cat.
It's fine. Like I have 9 cats. 27 is Black Bolt.
Okay.
I'm not sure how many. I think there's like 50. 28 is, and I'm gonna butcher this, Sitorak.
Not familiar with them.
Let me just put this in the chat room because I'm not even too sure who the host is. It's and for whatever reason, there's a weird ad. He's an immensely powerful deity, ruler of the Crimson Cosmos, and supplier of power to his avatar, the unstoppable Juggernaut. Yeah. 29 is the Watcher.
Okay.
30 is Mephisto.
30 is Mephisto?
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's not right. Mephisto and Satanish literally are the evil in the entire universe. It's like anything that's evil that's done, it was created by Mephisto. That's...
Oh, man. 31 is Amatsu Mikaboshi.
Okay.
32 is Ego.
Oh, okay.
33 is Molecule Man.
Okay. Because he got the box. Why?
I guess. 34 is In-Betweener.
That sounds familiar. I don't remember from where, though.
He's a servant of the forces of order and chaos. He makes sure there is always a balance between 2 worlds and draws his powers from both as well. Number 35 is Eon.
Okay.
36 is the Alien Entity. Number 37 is Vishanti.
Okay.
38 is the Ultimate Nullifier.
Oh, the fucking... Yeah. I remember that issue. There was a Deadpool... It was like a Deadpool limited series that dealt with that. No. That was kind of cool because no matter what you did to this bot or whatever the fuck it was like a robot thing. When it was fully activated, it would just nullify everybody's powers and weapons, and everything just didn't work. It was kind of cool. Like the ultimate weapon was a nerf. That's what it was. The ultimate weapon was a nerf. Everybody's fucking nerfed.
So basically, I don't know. I was gonna say, like, is he kind of similar to Mxyzptlk from Superman? But Mxyzptlk can actually like write people out of existence.
No, it didn't do anything to hurt anyone. But like, if you went to go stab somebody, like your blades would turn into rubber.
Oh, that's a pretty dope character.
Mm-hmm.
Number 39 is Doctor Doom.
Fair enough.
40 is Grandmaster. Okay.
Right.
41 is Gladiator.
Okay.
42 is Mad Jim Jaspers.
Okay.
43 is Tyrant.
Okay.
44 is Ultron.
All right. Yeah, for all these powerful characters, it's like some of them I have like zero clue if they're so powerful. I'm not familiar with all of them. Not saying that I should I should understand everybody, but damn, you would figure that the top 50 list of all the fucking heroes and villains in the Marvel universe should probably be like name brand names. You know what I mean? But go on.
Number 45 is Korvac.
Okay.
Number 46 is Abraxas.
Okay.
47 is the Destroyer.
Okay.
48 is fuck, I can't say his name right. Chthon. Chthon.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically this list. Number 49 is High Evolutionary. 50 is Annihilus.
Okay.
51 is Epoch or Epoch.
Epoch, yeah.
52 is Ymir, Ymir.
Okay.
And that's it. That's the list.
Fantastic.
Your thoughts?
I don't know, dude. A lot of those names are either foreign to me or not exactly the first thing I would bring up. A lot of them are gods, which is kind of like self-explanatory. It's weird that some of these people that are on the list aren't on the list, like Satanish. I think there's a Blackheart isn't on there. For fuck's sake, it's the son of Satan. Technically, you'd think he would be in there, but
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going by the list. It's there. Yeah, like you said. I mean, granted, I don't read too many comic books. I haven't read like the amount of comic books like you and John would read. But I like. There's at least some names I know, but like with a lot of these characters, I've literally never heard of them.
yeah.
But
That's all right. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm sure that the person that put it up had a reason for it. I'm not exactly sure what their criteria was, but I don't know. Kind of surprised that Zarathos wasn't on there. Really surprised that Ghost Rider didn't make it. At least the Dan Ketch version, maybe not the Johnny Blaze version. The Dan Ketch version of Ghost Rider had insane amounts of powers, especially when he unleashed them. Like, the Hellfire alone was just insane. Yes. Surprised the Transformers weren't in there, Stan Witwicky and his ability to fucking create and destroy Cybertron.
so like, yeah, it was kind of a cheap list because they were just going with gods. They weren't going with
names. Who's
your
favorite? Who's the most powerful character that you've liked in the Marvel Universe?
Ooh, that's. I probably should have thought about that.
I'll go first. I'll tell you mine. Like, when I think of powerful characters, I think of people that can affect every single spectrum, not just necessarily physically powerful, but they have the ability to destroy anything and everything or create anything and everything. It really, for me, it comes down to Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch literally could rebuild time itself if she chose to. When she started to become, because originally all she did was just throw hex bolts and shit like that, and then she started expanding her powers. And obviously, Xavier taught her more and stuff like that. And there was a point where I felt she was more powerful than Phoenix by far, more powerful than Jean Grey, more powerful than gods, because she could rewrite existence itself. It's kind of like, do you remember when Hal Jordan became Parallax in the DC universe? And what he did was he killed off all the other Green Lanterns. And he took all of their fucking rings and he recreated the universe. It was called 0 Hour. And the business side is DC wanted to close the gap on a lot of broken storylines that they had over the years. And on the storyline side, they wanted to make Hal Jordan the most prolific villain in the history of DC Comics, which is a sad story considering that he came from a place of being a hero. And so he started destroying every single timeline one by one by one until he finally won and rebuilt the entire universe. And that's the interesting thing about 0 Hour. The bad guy won. The entire universe was destroyed. Everybody technically died in 0 Hour and then was reborn.
Yeah, and there's an interesting fact about Scarlet Witch. Let's talk about House of M before we get to that. And you already read it, but this is just for the listeners. In House of M, it begins with, I hadn't read the previous story before it, but she had apparently killed a bunch of Avengers. And all the Avengers are after her. The X-Men want to protect her, but the Avengers want to take her out. So they find her, and when Spider-Man literally looks into a corner, and there's this like blinding light, and they all wake up in like different realities. They're either married or they have like a different life. Cap got old. He never became Captain America. The X-Men are kind of non-existent. Most of them work with S.H.I.E.L.D. What happened was Scarlet Witch literally built a reality for them. They're in reality, they're literally still stuck in that that cave. But it's almost as if they've been put to sleep. They're dreaming almost. So Scarlet Witch, the rumor is that they might even make her into the next villain for the MCU. That's the rumor.
I would love that. But I would love if they would build up the relationship with her and Captain America too, because that was interesting to me.
I thought that was interesting, but it seemed like they weren't really interactive all that much.
They were until Scarlet Witch started until Wanda started losing her fucking mind, and then you had Namor looking for, or not Quicksilver looking for her, and everything else like that. It was interesting. It was an interesting dynamic because Steve Rogers was keeping her sane, and then she just let go.
Yeah, same thing in the movies that in the Civil War movie, she was kind of the cause of everything. Through no fault of her own, but she was kind of the cause. I marked out in Endgame when they kind of let her be her for about 2 minutes. Right. When Thanos came out, and it's kind of funny when you watch that scene. It's cool and funny when she goes, "You took everything from me," and he goes, "I don't even know who you are." It's just funny.
Such a dick. It was great. I know. I'm like, that was fucking awesome. I don't even know who you are. What a cunt.
It's almost as him just saying, I took everything from everybody, so you're not that special.
Right.
And then she's almost about to fucking kill him, and then he just goes, "Rain fire," but sir, just do it.
But she could have fucking ripped him apart. She didn't even have to touch him.
Yeah, it was like
Touch me.
ooh, touch him. Like 2 women almost fucking killed him, and he had to cheat to win.
Right.
So, we were just watching Endgame earlier because we have the Blu-ray, and I put on the bonus features because I like watching the bonus features. They were talking about Chris Evans, his journey as Captain America. Kind of an interesting fact about that was the casting director was talking about Chris Evans, being reluctant, to take on the role because in his words he thought of it as like if the movie does good, then that's a big commitment, and then if it does bad, then that's another can of worms. And she pointed out that the fact that he was so reluctant about taking on this role that he didn't think of himself as a hero was almost kind of like that's actually Steve Rogers. Like that shows that he is really Steve Rogers. It got to Downey as Iron Man, everybody else. Then we get to the fucking thing about Stan Lee, and we're already losing it. Like I miss Stan Lee. It's rough because everybody watches the Marvel movies because they're good, but there's always that Stan Lee cameo to kind of lighten everybody up. Right. And now when we watch Spider-Man: Far From Home, we didn't see Stan Lee, and that was a bummer.
Yeah. Well, it's gone, dude. It's sad, and every time I think about it, dude, I hate social media because now that he's passed, you get crazy people that are calling him a racist and everything else. Like, you guys are fucking.
He made the fucking X-Men during the civil rights. Come on.
It's just those people. I just want to reach through my goddamn computer screen and just strangle the shit out of those kind of people. But no, Stan Lee was a good man, and he was a kid at heart, and I really believe that. I'd like to believe that guy was a kid at heart till the day that he died. He was very happy creating comic books. He was very happy making other people happy. He was a simple soul. I think that there's not enough simple people in the world. And I don't mean simple as in like mechanically. It just means simple needs, simple desires. Like the fact that he was the icon of some of the biggest fucking entertainment that the world's ever seen didn't matter to him as long as he could have fun,
I guess we can kind of close it out, with Stan Lee. What was your favorite Stan Lee cameo?
Ooh. Shit. That's a good one. Honestly, I think it was that after the Avengers movie when he ended up with the Watchers.
Oh yeah, Guardians 2.
It was Guardians 2, right? Because I felt like if he was to die at that moment, which he pretty much passed not too much longer after that, I'm like, wouldn't it be a nice thought that Stan Lee ended up as one of the Watchers and he's just watching the entire universe go by? Like he was chosen to be a Watcher. It makes my heart melt thinking about it. And I know they had him in the overhead shot in the car and all that, which was cool, but I really liked the idea to believe that because there was a rumor that was going around for a while that there was a lot of all the cameos were supposed to lead to a Watchers movie or a Watchers show or something like that. And Stan Lee's cameos, along with additional footage that was filmed that was never before seen, was supposed to equal out into this movie, and Stan Lee was supposed to have this part in it. And it was supposed to be created posthumously, and posthumously. Sorry, and it never happened, or at least I don't know anything about it. I've never heard about it since. But this was like a rumor back in I want to say 2014, 2015, that they were going to try to do a Watcher movie, and then they did the Watcher scene with him in it, and I'm like, oh, it's got to be true. But from what I read afterwards is that Marvel read about the Watcher stuff and they were just playing with it with Stan Lee. So it's not a real thing. It was just their way of kind of like nodding to the internet like, yeah, we read you. here at Marvel, we do read the internets. And I was like, oh, okay. But I love the idea. I loved the idea that there was even an inkling that all these cameos equate to Stan Lee actually being a real Watcher. And I don't know, man. It just that was sentimental for me, you know.
Yeah, because I remember you talked about that, where this was a little after Stan died, and you know, in the scene he's saying, "Hey guys, you know, where are you going? I still got more stories to tell." And I'm just like, oh, like you watch it now, and it just like it gets you, like you want to cry, which is what I was doing earlier. The Civil War cameo, I still think is funny when he says, "Is this Tony Stank?"
Yeah,
and then War Machine, "Yes, this is Stank."
Yeah, that was great.
The Captain Marvel one I thought was cool. The story behind it I think is pretty cool. That the director or the producers didn't tell Brie Larson when Stan Lee was going to show up. All they said was, you're going to be going on this train, you're going to be walking by, and then you're going to see a random old man with a script, and you're going to pull the script down. She didn't know that was going to be Stan Lee. Yeah. So her reaction and Stan's reaction in the movie was actually genuine. But they showed the behind-the-scenes footage of that where Stan Lee is reading a script for Mallrats, that came out in the 90s, which is what the movie was set in. So they show the behind the scenes of her seeing Stan Lee, and she starts losing it. Like, she's like, "Oh my god, like Stan, oh my god." Like, well, this is after the scene. Like,
right.
The scene in the movie where she kind of smirks, like, that's a genuine reaction. But after they had wrapped that scene up, she just sits down and she's like gushing over Stan Lee. So I like that scene. Oh yeah, Phil the Promoter in Spider-Man Homecoming. "Don't make me come down there, you young punk." It's just, again, it sucks. I think we all knew that he had limited time. He was kind of living on borrowed time.
Sure.
But it's one of those things where you kind of think like a kid, where he's written about superheroes his whole life that you almost thought for just a second he was kind of like a superhero.
Yeah, he was.
He was the man. Stan
got us to forget about our problems. He took up God knows how many years of my youth, took me away from my problems growing up. If it wasn't for Stan Lee, I think I would have lost my mind a long time ago. And it's weird to say that, but comic books played a big part in keeping me sane when I was younger. And I'm always grateful to him for entertaining me in those periods of my life, and still entertaining me to this day. So yeah.
Yeah, man. We miss Stan. That's pretty much the basis of this conversation. We all miss Stan.
Sure.
But yeah, it's about to be 11:30. Is there anything else you wanted to go over, Mish?
No, man. 2.5 hours. I'm good.
Yeah,
I got some editing to do, and then I'm probably gonna fucking peace out. So.
All right, man.
Thank you very much for having me on your 100. I really appreciate it, Drew.
Yeah, Mish, I can't say this enough. You've done a lot for me. You're an inspiration to me. If it wasn't for you, I probably wouldn't even have this show.
Oh, much love, man.
You always go out of your way to help me, to help anyone else. You were more than nice enough to put me on the Wrestling Soup Network, which has done a lot, which has done more than enough for the show. It's really gotten a lot of eyes and ears to the show. You're an all right fella.
Thanks, man. I try to do good by people, man. That's all I try to do.
Hey, you got a good heart. You're just a genuine person.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All right, man. I appreciate you being on the show. You're always welcome back anytime.
Thanks, Drew. Take it easy, everyone. Much love.
All right, Mish. Take care, buddy. All right, 2.5 hours, or 2 hours and 23 minutes, actually. Yeah, Phil the Promoter. Yeah, absolutely, man. I had you on, man. I always heard good things about you. You're good, dude. Thanks, Sean. I'll talk. I'll just talk for a bit. Hopefully, I don't get all sappy. 100 episodes. I honestly didn't even think I would get here. I didn't think I would make it even past 10 episodes. I'm not even trying to make myself sound like a piece of shit. I'm being honest. I didn't think I would last this long. 100 episodes. Thank you so much to everybody that's listened. Thank you so much to everybody that clicks the download button, that shares on Twitter. Yeah, I could use a beer, Phil. Just thank you to everybody. Just thank you. That's all I gotta say is just thank you. I'm blessed. And that's not a word I use a lot. I don't use the word blessed a lot, but I'm blessed. I'm truly blessed. Happy 100. Happy 100, guys. And hopefully we can make it to 100 more. Thanks, Trademark. Yeah, Wednesdays, starting October the 2nd, are going to be pretty busy. Not just NXT, but we got AEW, so we got that to look forward to. So Wednesdays on the Drew Yari Show are going to be pretty busy. So, anyways, thank you guys so much. Shout outs, of course, Wrestling Soup. I gotta say Wrestling Soup to Mish. Mish is the man. Joe Numbers, John Draper, who I've been trying to get back on the show for the longest time. Hopefully we can get him on, or get him back on. Go to their Patreon, support them. $5 gets you everything. It gets you shows like Global Balding with John, and get you the Frank and Gus show. So there's that. The Frank and Gus show with Mish and Joey, which is, I guess, a spinoff of Wrestling. DTKC with Don Tony and Kevin Castle for as low as even $2. So go to their Patreon. You can get shows like Breakfast Soup with DT and Mish. You can get Kevin Castle has 2 shows. He'll have his solo show, Castle Chronicles. He'll have Dark Chronicles with himself, and also a very, very, very good friend of the show, Trez. I miss her. Other shows like the Trademark Show with Tyler. Look for his show on Spreaker. Also, I don't know where else he would have his show at. But yeah, Sport Tyler is a good dude. Very good friend of the show. Very good friend of mine as well. The Peter position with my friend Peter. Great fucking name. You can find his show on Spotify. I believe he's about to do some newer episodes because I think he was on hiatus for a bit, but he's making a comeback. The Architect Podcast with my friend, with a friend of mine, Derek, and his friend Irving. They are a lot more nerdy than me. They go a lot more in depth into the nerd culture. You can find their podcasts anywhere. Wrestling Court with Julian, very good friend of the show. You can find him on Spotify. I thought he was every Thursday. I guess they changed it to it's now officially Wednesdays on Mixler. I was supposed to be on tonight, but it interfered with the recording of the show tonight. So, there's always next time. Who else? There's a lot of names I'm forgetting. If I'm forgetting anyone, I'm sorry. It's not that you guys aren't important. Everyone's important to me. There's just a lot of names I'm forgetting. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I can't say that enough. Thank you guys. I'm blessed. Thank you guys for listening. I have a lot of editing to do. And that's about it. You guys will actually hear the newest intro. Thanks, Mish. That means a lot, dude. Also, Yuck Nasty made a new intro for the show. Get in the corner. I was hoping to debut it tonight, but for some reason Mish couldn't hear. I don't know if you guys could hear it or not, too, but once I edit and upload the show to Spreaker and everywhere else, you guys will actually hear the newest intro for the show. So, anyways, take care, guys. I will be back next time. Thank you, Trademark. Thank you, Tony. I will be back next week, same time, same channel. Again, since NXT is going to be on every Wednesday, there's going to be a new show time, 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Central Time here. And that is it. Take care, guys. Drive safe, and see you next week.